Okay, everything's fine. January 19th, 2015 changed my life forever when a hero of mine, Greg Plitt, died tragically. He was a retired US Army Ranger and fitness model that motivated me through a lot of my formative years getting into the gym and going through sports. Sure, much of his stuff was later proven to be pretty bro-science-y, but he worked with the data he had at the time, and also more importantly, what stuck with me most was his focus on the psychology behind fitness, working out, and the pursuit of greatness. His focus on mindset is a big part of the reason why I'm here and still so in love with fitness. I was a senior in high school the day I found out. Crushed and depressed, I began to go through his whole archive, all his old videos, both on YouTube and his website. Honestly, I was pretty concerned because with him dead, who's going to be running a site? I assumed they'd take everything down, and I just wanted to be able to go through it all again. I eventually decided to make a compilation of all his old videos just for myself, to be able to get through it, kind of as a way of mourning. But it evolved into a video that I posted publicly on YouTube as kind of a tribute to him. I remember I had no background in editing at all. I'd never done it, maybe for like a school project or something. So it was me and iMovie and a laptop in a dimly lit room in the middle of the night. I stayed up all night, 3 nights, I believe. I know I missed 2 days of school that I called out for just to finish this. And that's the thing, I didn't even notice till like day 3. I wasn't even tired. I was so engrossed in the task and found it so engaging. And it was so important to me that I didn't even feel the fatigue. I then posted it to YouTube, and I could tell I wasn't the only one that he impacted because it quickly amassed 600,000 views. This was an account that had maybe like 3 subs previously, so you could tell he had made a difference in a lot of people's lives. But of course, YouTube being YouTube, it was taken down for copyright issues with the music, even though he had the same music on his videos. That's something I still don't understand. I'll probably have to learn that as I do this thing. So fine, whatever. I took out the songs that were struck and reposted the video. And again, it amassed 450,000 views, somewhere in that range, which was absolutely mind-blowing to me. This thing, over 2 uploads, had amassed 1 million views collectively. And it showed that people still cared. And some nobody like me could share his experience of this person on the internet, and it can resonate with people on that level. But of course, I got struck down and I got hit with a strike, so I couldn't even upload again. So I gave up on it. I think I posted it to like Vimeo or something, and then forgot to log in for the account. So it's now lost in the wind, very sadly. I couldn't believe that a video I'd made reached that many people, and the outpouring of support and empathy in the comments was astounding. While waiting for the strike to pass, I began making another video that some of you may have seen called Hard Work, with audio from Eric Thomas, Ray Lewis, Les Brown, some of my favorite motivational speakers ever. And I used them to great effect, and it was one of my favorite videos I've ever made. My MO at the time was I just wanted to make videos that I would listen to myself and release them on the off chance that maybe it'd benefit someone else. And with that mindset, 1 million views this video amassed on this no-name channel, with one comment saying it even saved their family, which blew my mind. Tragically, of course, me being stupid and not knowing the copyright stuff, this video too was taken down. And now it still lives on this channel, but without the accompanying video, it is now just a still image with the speeches attached, not performing nearly as well, understandably so. So you may be wondering, what the heck does this have to do with anything? Get to the point, Noah, no one cares. Well, you may not know it, but ever since then, 2015, I've been still wanting to desperately make use of this channel to document and catalog things that have been helpful to me and continue to release it on the off chance it helps other people. Because there was no better feeling than seeing those comments saying that, hey, this improved my life or this made a difference when I needed it. I was terrified of releasing a crappy video or a different video and losing all my subs, embarrassing myself, friends and family ridiculing me, me getting kicked out of my house, you know, all that crazy stuff your mind makes up, and failing to help anyone. I've silently agonized over this for 8 years. Torturing myself over the decision of, should I make something, should I not? I've released maybe a couple videos, but I've never fully dedicated myself to it or been willing to show my face or be vulnerable in a way that I would have liked to, because in all the channels and videos that I admire, it's the creator taking you on the journey with them, documenting their process in a very vulnerable way, and it's usually very helpful. I realized quickly, although I refused to admit it to myself, that I was being a perfectionist. I let my anxiety and ego get in the way of achieving my goals and helping people. And I just had to remind myself, anyone you look at that has achieved anything has done so by failing miserably long enough to become good at it. Jordan Peterson puts it well, where he says that to get good at anything, you must first be willing to do it very badly for a long time and to risk looking like a fool. So here we are, coming back to a video with the same roots and motivation as the previous ones. This video acts as an important reminder to myself, and I'm leaving it here in case it's helpful to even one other person in a similar situation. Instead of releasing just general motivation in the words of others, I will document my process of overcoming the problems I'm facing and trying to release or update to this channel. This video acts as an important reminder to myself, and I'm leaving it here in case it's helpful to even one other person in a similar situation. I'm foregoing my perfectionistic tendencies. You can see I have a terrible background. If I move this, I'm even in the middle of packing for a move, and there's a bunch of garbage there. No interesting background, framing's weird. I clearly need a haircut and a shave, but here I am. I will make a series of terrible videos so that I can eventually get good at it and bring value to people. So I'd love to have you along for the journey. Otherwise, I'll see you in a few years when I'm competent. So in case it helps, here's 5 steps I'm using to overcome my perfectionistic tendencies, despite being terrified and unsure, and actually taking action to give this whole YouTube thing a try. So number 1, make a proper cost-benefit analysis. The reason I use the term proper is that many people only make a one-sided analysis, focusing on everything they have to lose for leaving their job, making a purchase or investment, opening a business, etc. And there are many costs to those actions, sure, but they also forget the cost of inaction. To use myself as an example, if I don't post these videos and give this channel the old college try, I'll be wasting away with little freedom, working for other people with a schedule I have little control over, withering away in a miserable existence filled with regret. Now, I'm a little bit dramatic with it, but that's genuinely how I feel about the situation. I know that I'm someone who could thrive being a one-man operation, setting my own schedule, working on my own projects, being responsible only for my own work. I have no problem working 16-hour days, 4 days out of the week, so I can have Friday and Saturday off, you know? And that would be much more engaging to me than having to stick to the schedule that other employers are going to be putting on me. The possible benefits of this is I can help 1, 10, hundreds, maybe thousands of people, who knows? I could find a passion, I could achieve financial freedom, I could have a flexible schedule. On top of that, almost guaranteed benefits is I'll be better at marketing, SEO, writing, editing, personal training, speaking. I'll develop a series of skills that will be insanely useful in the current job market. In fact, I had even tried Twitch streaming since it wasn't sharing this audience and I felt less pressure. So I went over there with 0 followers and I could just shout to myself in the abyss. And I learned a lot about, editing, setup, speaking, entertaining an audience, talking to yourself. Learned a lot about that one. And it became insanely useful when I transitioned from training in a personal training studio full-time to managing the personal training studio, where I'm now involved more with marketing and training a replacement, and I need clear communication skills both for clients and the trainers that I'm working with. Also, the role of my channel will be effectively me documenting my process of finding answers to my own problems and then releasing it to help you. So I'll be holding myself accountable to achieving goals that I find meaningful. That sounds pretty dang beneficial to me. Even if I develop all this and it fails and I never do the online thing, those programs and those tools will still be useful to the in-person clients that I train. So if I don't do well, don't enjoy it, or don't improve, I can always go back to my current life. At most, I risk some minor humiliation, because it won't even be wasted time since I'm still developing useful and marketable skills that are important to me. And what I've noticed too is that if I perform terribly for all eternity, this channel will go nowhere. I'll never get noticed. And the only humiliating thing will be people not knowing enough about me for me to be humiliated by the terrible videos. So, by taking action, I risk minor humiliation and embarrassment from people I don't even know, but I have a shot at improving my marketable skills and my entire life by trying. By not taking action, I risk existential dread, lifelong frustration, and eternal regret. Seems like a no-brainer to me. So, number 2, let's properly define success and failure. So, speaking of failure, when people begin a journey, they shoot themselves in the foot by setting unrealistic or unhelpful goals. Have an undefeated season, make $1 million, or never make a diet mistake are unrealistic goals with many factors out of your control. An undefeated season requires a perfect concoction of players and the coach and never having an off day, too much for an individual player to control. Making $1 million typically is years out from a current starting place and could be affected by a whole host of factors, for instance, a global pandemic. And the last one is a little bit exaggerated for never make a diet mistake, but it's something I see implicitly with a lot of my clients. They'll text or call me crying or super depressed because the scale fluctuated up a little bit from one day to the next. Your body can fluctuate as much as 1 to 3% daily based on a whole host of factors. So one way into the next day doesn't give us all the information we need. It's more about the average over the entire week. That's a whole nother video though. Or they tell me they want to give up after one birthday party where they had cake and cookies and went over calories. If that makes you want to give up, then you're implicitly saying that you would have only accepted perfect linear progression towards your ultimate goal. And that's not going to happen. Your focus should be on being a bit better each day and each week, to plan for and to learn to recover from expected setbacks, to focus on developing the knowledge and skills that lead to an outcome rather than just pursuing the outcome itself. For example, I've defined success as putting my best effort towards this channel and using it as an opportunity to develop the skills of communication, marketing, editing, writing, withstanding criticism, and various creative skills. My goal is to produce 2 videos a month, each one very slightly better than the last. Failure for me is not producing 2 videos a month and failing to seek to improve even slightly between each video. You notice how I didn't say I need my channel to hit 200,000 subs by November. You notice I didn't say I need 1 million subs in 2 years. I can't control that. I can only control how high quality of a video that I put out and how much I improve. And the way to hold myself accountable to that is to commit to producing a certain number of videos per month. Because otherwise I can just put it off forever, saying that, oh, it's not ready, it's not ready. I need to fight my perfectionistic tendencies by holding myself to 2 videos a month minimum. All right, number 3, do it badly, get over perfectionism and denial. So if you were starting something new, be it a craft, career, hobby, or skill, how would you begin? Let's say you wanted to do a handstand. You spend months or years reading books, watching videos, consulting professionals, interviewing people, learning about the craft. You spend hours finding a perfectly level spot to do it. You pull out a protractor, you hire people to perfectly level out the entire field so that you can have the perfect handstand. You practice the perfect hand position, the perfect time of day, you find the perfect spot to do it. All this time, you never do one handstand. By the end of the year, you could write your own book about doing handstands with all the information you've amassed. And yet you still haven't done a single handstand because you were so worried about doing it perfectly, you never bothered to even try one. If someone told me this was their method for acquiring that skill, I'd look at them like they're crazy. Yet I've done that with almost every endeavor of my life, especially YouTube. I was so afraid of failure that I walked myself in circles instead of actually trying it, always wanting to be perfect before I take it to the next step. Again, Jordan Peterson puts it perfectly when he says, "The fool is the precursor to the savior. To be good at anything, you must be willing to first do it badly." And yet, my best work and greatest success has come from throwing caution to the wind and taking action. I've learned far more by doing than by researching. I had this idea in my head that with enough planning, I'll be able to do it perfectly and I can circumvent the need to fail or look bad at it. A perfectionist by definition means they won't settle for less than perfect, which means that they think they're capable of perfection. Then they spend infinite time planning so that they never have to take action and prove themselves wrong. Whether consciously or not, they live in denial, refusing to ruin that perfect image of themselves with imperfect action. I spent 4-5 years talking myself out of taking a certification to be a personal trainer because I was convinced that I wasn't ready, that I wasn't going to be good enough, that I needed more time, more planning. Eventually I took it and didn't even study nearly as much as I should have. Passed it fine, used like 1/4 of the time they give you for the test. I could have taken it like senior year of high school and done fine. But instead of just taking the dang test and then worst case scenario, I fail, but I know what I need to study. I take it again a month later, boom, we're good to go. I insist that, I have to be ready. I don't feel ready. I need to study more. I need to plan more. Clearly there's something missing. There was nothing missing. I was just too afraid to put myself out there and risk failing in a field that was so important to me. So here I am making what will most likely be objectively considered a crappy video, but that doesn't mean it doesn't have value or that it won't be a stepping stone towards a good video. So this video will play a role in helping people, regardless of whether this video helps someone or not. All right, number 4, put criticism in perspective. It's important to understand that the most pejorative criticism is a projection of the person making the criticism, usually insecurity on their part, being highlighted by your actions or content, and has little or nothing to do with you. Now, constructive criticism can be accurate and is feedback that if taken into account will improve your craft. Learning to separate the wheat from the chaff, discard the useless pejorative feedback and utilize the constructive parts of it or the actual constructive feedback to then move further towards greatness. Plus, honestly, despite it being kind of unhealthy, a guilty pleasure of mine is to use some of the negative feedback as sort of a screw you, I'll show you type of motivation, allowing me to push forward out of spite. But it's not sustainable, and most of your drive needs to come from healthier, more intrinsic rewards and a firm sense of self. You shouldn't have a significant part of your motivation be to prove yourself to someone else when they misconstrue who you are. And that's the crazy thing too, right? Is criticism is so useful because people literally tell you what they want. But if you don't put something out there, they have nothing to criticize. So like, I didn't know how to improve as a personal trainer until I had done it. And then I got feedback saying like, oh, like you need a little more experience, you need a little more confidence. I wish I had more communication on this. This is my struggle with nutrition. Now I've worked with so many people, I can anticipate most of their needs. But without them telling me those things, then I would have spent years not even realizing that was something to be addressed because I had never trained someone before. All right, number 5, you are allowed to update your plan. As you progress toward what your initial goals are, you'll acquire more information and experience, meaning that your initial plan will be based on your least informed opinion. So give yourself permission to adjust your course as you progress. It's not giving up if new information causes you to make a different decision. Don't tie yourself to outdated, counterproductive decisions just to protect yourself from looking like a quitter, or having to admit an initial choice might have been a mistake. Learn from your experiences and adjust accordingly. You're not a quitter for recognizing this is not the right path now that you're in it and adjusting course. You will feel like a loser for the rest of your life though if you spend the whole time making decisions based on avoiding other people considering you a quitter, appeasing other people's opinions of yourself. That is never going to be a recipe for happiness. So this actually felt more like I was talking to myself than to you guys, but either way, I hope it helps. Don't worry, I'm working the enunciation stuff. That's going to be the biggest parts of these, I think. Feel free to do the YouTube stuff, helping out. I'd love to hear feedback from you guys on anything you'd like to improve, any topics you'd like me to cover, and I'll see you again here soon.